Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. In September I did a few predictions, we're still in September, but the very first one for September, which often is more than just a month's reading or predictions, that's why I'm very reluctant to just always add the month. Obviously not many people view the videos, and it's a shame because quite a few videos, there's a lot of truth, predictions that come true. And if you subscribe to the channel and not watching the videos, maybe do watch them. I think it's important that at this moment in time that we listen to authentic, true people that come from people call them light workers, and not delivering conspiracy dark messages, because it's so easy to grasp that attention and also make money out of that. And I'm not just talking about this platform, but also via readings, rituals, even what you hear that you don't think is a conspiracy. Things are going through what you're listening. If it's a constantly from this person, and their intention is just to make money, or their intention is just to actually deliver a certain coded message, it may affect the way you think, okay? So if you enjoy the channel, please do like, subscribe. I was thinking to take some time out because there's nothing coming back from the channel. I'm just giving all energy. Now imagine you work for a very long time and you don't get anything back. But it seems like Spirit keeps pushing me. And not only that, I remember my members, and I remember my loyal subscribers and those that do actually support, whether it's a comment, a like, engage. So in the September predictions that I did, in the one that I'm talking about, I'm going to link, okay. Let me just get you the date. I know that some of what I listed there I'd already got in August, but it wasn't like I was reading predictions that had already come true. So it's over 2 weeks ago. And I did say, I did in that, this is an advert, so I'm just looking at the date. Okay, so it was on the 31st for some of you, and it was on the 1st of September for some of you. Members, it was, I think it would have been a day or two before that. Members, 30th of August. I spoke about AI. I also gave certain dates, and I'm going to go to those dates because they seem to be very accurate. And I said, humanity's lost humanity. And I think we see that with Charlie Kirk, which, by the way, when I was doing that reading, I was questioning a certain thing. I don't know anything about Charlie Kirk. So I was actually asking Spirit, or to ask Charlie, because he's just passed away, so it wasn't to, and I think I might have been one of the first to actually do a reading on him. It wasn't to channel him, because it's that time where they've just passed away and then they've got to go through a life review. But I was getting a yes to one of my questions, and I think I might do a little clip on other messages that I was getting through, possibly with some messages from Charlie, or Spirit and then Charlie agreeing, or not fully channeling Charlie. Anyway, in that September, I don't know where I was going with that, sorry. Oh, lost humanity. And you can see that, regardless if you agree or disagreed with Charlie, there was ages ago, there was 2 boys and there was a baby called Charlie. I don't know if you saw it on social media. and the elder brother, I think Charlie, the toddler, takes from the older brother chocolate or something, and the elder brother goes, Charlie! And I don't know what else he says. So when I was saying Charlie, it's reminding me of that. Anyone in the UK or anywhere in the world, if you saw that, because there would have been English, but I think I'm not even sure if I was in the UK at the time, but I remember it distinctly. It could have been around 7-10 years ago, to be honest with you. So Charlie ain't a toddler anymore. Lost humanity, and you can see that, right? But in the reading, I did say pay attention to a sentence I said, because people are falling, and in the Irina reading, the Ukraine refuge, which there seems to be no issue with calling her a Ukrainian female refuge, right? Yeah, you can't call the person who exed her other than his name. Anyway, I said in that everything has to be a political game, turned into a political game. And don't fall into that. I keep saying about coming together with humanity, with community. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, you know, your long lost friend from another state used to be the same party supporter as you, but has changed, so they're annoying now. Look at the programming behind stuff that's happening, and that's why one of the things that I offered a couple of times in my reading is, do you want me to do a reading and channeled messages on the way? And it would have been for the country that I'm from. It's not a feather. I was hoping that I could have a Union Jack flag. There you go. They use immigration as a form of tactic, control, division, kind of strategy stuff. But no one really wanted it, so there's no point in me putting my energy into that. So a lot of what I've said in this September's themes has come true, including the dates. You know, I said that we might get a bit of a down period between like 11 to, I want to say 14, 15, but 13th might be a tricky day. And I think we've seen a bit of a, it's all like focused on Charlie. I feel devastated for his wife, to be honest with you. I wanted to say something about his kids. I'm going to say it in the reading that I do. I mentioned AI, and I'd like you to go back and listen to that, what I say about AI in that. And I'm emphasizing the importance of it again. 2 years ago, I said as AI starts to grow and expand, it's going to be really important to know whose hands it falls into, because that's the important element here in terms of how far it can go. And I think now we are going to see that we have small choices. And I gave you some of those choices examples in that video. I'd like you to go see it, as opposed to me re-explaining because of people that have already watched it. Simple examples, and those still stand. But I feel it's really important for me to deliver this message, and it's globally. So it's funny, I wanted to do this message for a few days, and then today I just saw that, I think, I'm not sure if it's Ukraine or a country around there, have hired a government kind of procurement MP or something, but it's an AI person who does it. To me, if they're talking about that they just do an audit behind the scenes on who they should select as procurement, great, because it's neutral, right? It comes out with an analysis. But to have such a role, surely there's a bit more than that with that title. So I've said about AI, and really now the boundaries around AI don't seem to be there. I can't see any boundaries. And there's no like AI governance or AI police, whether that's policing on us, which I think soon we will learn that there's things around that in the background. It's important for us to understand our decisions matter right now so much, so that we don't lose the human touch. And not only the human touch, which I'll go into. You know, our form of intelligence, our compassion, our empathy, our touch, our divinity, that soul touch, that energy, AI doesn't have it. And I don't think anything that's not God-made but man-made can ever have that touch. Some people might think it does. We've got to really remain strong in our uniqueness, our compassion for oneself, and I'll explain why, and for me towards you watching this. And I hope you feel that when you do send me a message, and I appreciate those of you that are not using AI to send me a message, but seeing as I don't get much comments, use AI. But if you can type it, it's much better. There's a different energy that comes of it when it's a human touch. And the energy around AI is picking up. It's making quantum leaps, developments, breakthroughs and approaches. And we're going to see it more. And I've mentioned this in my predictions. There's technologies that I believe also that we will become aware of, we're becoming aware of, but that we're not aware of, that are being integrated. So imagine what we're not aware of, because I see there's things in the background. So, you know, some of us might be like, oh, I don't really care. I just want my phone, my telly, go home. But if you look at your phone, every now and then there's an app upgrade or there's the new phone, etc. And it's, you know, I'll give you the most simple example is that if you want to speak to a customer service, who do you speak to? The chat is a robot. They don't have the email anymore for a human to get back to you. You just bang your head with this robot that, if you're lucky and you say, I want to talk to customer service, eventually they'll say, I'm referring to you. Well, there's so many loopholes, and there's a question there on whether they actually need to upgrade some of their robots or whether they're doing it intentionally. Like certain platforms, customer service is a copy paste of the FAQs. And if you have an issue and eventually you get to the manager, they'll be like, I'm sorting it out, but they don't. And you're talking to also humans that are not open to resolve. It's just like, even as a human, which I think is the saddest thing, is when humans have a job and they become robotic and ungrateful when there's people who are struggling to find jobs. But try delivering that message to them. Again, a different conscious level and awareness. And that's how you see the levels of disparity in our consciousness. There's so much that's undisclosed that we're not aware of. I see the lab tester there, But we need to be aware of what we can by keeping our eyes open. There's so much that is being measured in an algorithm that then either enhances the AI. So if you're using something that's AI, there's an algorithm measuring in the background. Similar to, you know, the currencies. If you go on a currency app, it's constantly measuring the stocks, and you know, you might press to exchange some money, and a few seconds later, you're like, you know, you check something on your, for example, you check your bank card details. You go back, it's already dropped. That's happening. I see it in the background, measuring what we're doing, measuring where to enhance, measuring certain stuff in an algorithm measurement. And the upgrades, the developments, the costs are then made, implemented, advanced research, whatever they're doing in the background. This is the time where we have to support each other. You know, it's something that I said it's very dominant within the next 2 decades. And those of you that have followed me know that I've been saying this for some time. You're probably like, oh God, there she goes again. Buy your strawberries from your local place. At this point in time, it's not too late for us to be and vouch for humanity. It's not too late to rein it in or slow it down by what you use and what you tap into. And the reason I say that is because a lot of us will be like, I can't help it. Like, there's nothing in my hands that's AI, etc. Well, how about who you listen to? How about certain ideas I gave in the September predictions? Very simple, and you have that choice. There's going to be choices in your community, in your country, in your city, in your town. Transport, cars, methods of payments. I'm not saying suddenly go to cash. No, I'm talking about AI. I'm not talking about electronic tech systems or, you know, stuff that have been with us for a very long time, that have been within a boundary. Because now is that critical time before it gets out of hand. And getting out of hand has implications beyond just the workforce. Why can't a company pay for an employee they've been paying for a very long time, as opposed to AI, just because it's delivered a lot faster? Have some AI on procurement, for example. You don't need to save on that salary. Think about it as giving back to humanity. You give, you get back. And that's what keeps me going, you know, trying to give, not to get back. And maybe one day someone will listen and feel like it's really spoken to them. But in some instance, we must get a give back, right? When you give out, and this is why I want to take some time out, because sometimes you're constantly giving energy where you're not getting anything back, and you need to assess your level of fine line of insanity. I'm going off topic. So what are you going to give your power to? Because you do have power right now. All this can lessen the importance of our humanity. And if you think of it lessening the importance of humanity, what's the message that we're going to feel on an individual level? If it's lessening humanity on an individual level, we will feel the lessening of importance, our significance, our place in the world, our place even within our family community. What does that do to us? It makes us feel out of control. It makes us feel hopeless. It makes us feel we don't have the intelligence. it makes us feel we've got nothing to offer, to give. We all want to know that we're offering and giving and recognized for our uniqueness, our place within our family, in our home. It's a huge choice point, and that's why in September I delivered the message. I've delivered it in previous readings, but I emphasize it today, and I probably will again emphasize it within a couple of months. And I dare say in my predictions AI is going to come up. It's a useful tool, but we need to know it's a tool, not to replace all humanity. Because I'm going to get to more huge issues on what this is going to do. It's so fast paced, it's got no boundaries, it's expanding. That's AI. We will lose our light body, not only our empowerment and the elements that I just mentioned. We always see about going out to nature to balance, to slow down, to feel stillness, even to feel mentally well again. You're falling into this thing about work-life balance came because it was like hamster wheel, hamster wheel, hamster wheel. So imagine now with AI, or being out of a job, which is horrible because you lose your worthlessness. And then you have someone who's trying to select you for a role that actually doesn't know where they're doing. That's why they need you in that role. Or a recruiter that's a salesperson has got no bloody idea. But you're at their mercy. What does that do to you? There's already a lot of frequencies that we have that affect us. That's why people do social media detoxing. There's the 5G, there's the satellites, there's the frequencies. There's a lot of what we don't know going on. It affects us as humans, it affects the animals, all animals. It affects human nature, and there's always a karmic repercussion once you play with nature. Nature is vital, the universe is vital for our breath, our body, our mind, our soul. I'm just bringing back awareness for you to know that you will have choices. It might even be, in terms of your kids' schooling, which I think homeschooling is going to become a large thing. The education sector, I've been mentioning it for the past few months, is changing. So where is AI in that? And can you choose something that's suitable for you, but something that, yes, maybe one click and 1 minute later it's done for you, like a narrative, let's say an essay. Well, what about you doing that essay? It takes you time. Actually, that's quite dangerous, isn't it? How are people going to be actually qualified? That's a point, isn't it? It's going off the actual energy that's affecting us. But what I'm trying to say, there are going to be choices in your country, in your community, where you can choose something that you might think, I'll just click it, it's going to take 1 minute. Why should I stand in that queue for 5 minutes to speak to a human? Just do it here. And I'm not talking about the telling machines. I'm talking where it's clearly AI. There's going to be I go back to 2 years ago. I said who rules it and whose hands it in will determine how AI is implemented and whether it turns for malefic purposes or beneficial purposes. But because I don't see the boundaries, it's very difficult. We need to push back where we have the choice, the awareness Keep our eyes open. Say no to something of a new system that's clearly just AI. I'm not talking about electronic. In your country, in your community, in your school, wherever it is. There's going to be a lot of regrets because there's going to be consequences and loss. And some of those losses will be unintentional, but it's too late. How can we avoid those unintentional losses? And obviously I'm talking about the larger people that they were implementing, is by being aware of the further future impact that this has. Again, as a tool, it's great. Our data is being collected constantly. You know, this thing about data protection is a load of crap. Even like I want to say in the Union Jack, they say data protection, we want to claim this from you, but we don't have what documents you'd submitted to us that we awarded you this, for example. And 2 years later, they're claiming all the 2 years benefit, but they're saying they don't have the documents. But the documents that you provided were legit, were authorized, audited, and you were awarded. And they say they don't have it. A bit of fraud stuff going on there, but a sideline is that some places do have your data stored. And I said about the digital wallet, the digital ID for the UK, way before it was even something that was rumbles. Way before, if you remember when I was doing my predictions in the UK. So data collection is happening. And on that basis, it's creating agendas, it's creating strategies. Even galactic things are happening that we're not aware of. I'd go back to my September predictions where I've given an example of how you can make small choices right now. And some of you might prefer the shiny new automated voice of stuff, which I've started seeing channels do a lot. But why wouldn't you read it? Why wouldn't you allow the person who's watching you see that emotion on your face, see the tone change? It just seems monotone, but then there's a nice AI image. Our lives are rapidly shifting. But our power as human beings, we need to believe in, and how we are strong together as in humanity, from human to human, having compassion, supporting one another, investing in community, investing in nature. Not everything needs to be shiny, new, automated. There'll be a lot of people that buy into the automation of AI and whatever they have, but they will regret it, or they won't understand why they're getting ill from what they're watching. The energy is different. And watching is one simple example. Don't lessen the importance where you have choice of you as a human or as humanity in this world by the smallest or the largest choices that we have. Even me doing a bleep here or a blooper, if that's seen as a weakness, it makes you relatable. Didn't we flock to social media? Again, I don't want to repeat what I've said in September, to have the relatability to reach out to humans. We saw what the big C did when we were isolated as humans. Do you not think AI is going to be that? Our weaknesses as a human, or fallibles, is all about being human. We need the universe, we need nature, We need to think of the animals, and we need animals. We need to think of our mind, our spirit, our soul, our breath, our oneness. And I think I'm going to end this here. I feel like it's a very important message. And that's what I've got right now. Take care. Stay blessed.